Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 31st, last day of May. Tomorrow is the first day of meteorological summer, but as you can see, we have a frontal system off our coastline here. It's going to be more impactful across BC and portions of northern Washington here versus southern Washington. The further you get south, the less precipitation you're going to get out of this frontal system. We'll take a look at the details on that, and we'll take a look at what is to come through the next week or so, and of course the extended forecast as always as we go through the video here this morning. Lightning strikes over the last 24 hours, nothing is nada zilch here, blanked here for the Pacific Northwest over the last 24 hours. That's going to change for some eastern portions, but we're not looking at any thunderstorm activity here for Vancouver, Seattle, or Portland, Oregon, or the Willamette Valley or anything like that. And you can see the frontal system on the mid-level water vapor loop kind of marching its way towards us. It's bringing and starting some light precipitation for some of the coastal areas right now as we speak. And you can see that the rainfall coming in here. You can see it's now raining at Hoquiam, probably raining off and on at Quileute there. Looks like Astoria not yet raining there, but looks like if you go up across Victoria, International, it looks like some light rain is falling there as well. If you go a little bit further off to the north and east, you can see Vancouver International is some light rain also. So that'll be marching in as we go through the day today. It's not a lot of precipitation for places like Seattle or Portland, more for Bellingham and Southwest BC, for example. And if you guys want to go to the community tab here on the Patreon page, you can send me information or just kind of any weather images that you have. Check out this lenticular cloud over Mount Rainier this morning, 12 minutes ago. Thanks to Nile Coffee out there. Nice picture there. So yeah, go ahead and send me your images on the Patreon page. It's a good way to support the channel if you like as well. You can sign up for free. You don't have to pay if you don't want to. So Storm Prediction Center, again, this is for today. No thunderstorms are forecast here for the Pacific Northwest. Day 2 is this impulse is moving through. We do have the potential for some wind and hail, Yellowstone, Southwest Montana, portions of Idaho there as well. I'll show you some of that in the North American high resolution model. And on day 3, this starts to push off to the east again. Now, if we take a look here at 18,000 feet or about 500 millibars up in the atmosphere, you can see our ridge giving way to this weak frontal system there, that trough swinging through. That is the system there. And then it kind of troughs out a little bit across Montana there. And we get this ridge that takes the residents here over the Pacific Ocean, and where this thing sets up is going to determine just how much we're going to warm up as we go through next week. See another little weak impulse move through there as we go through the midweek period. The ridge still offshore there, close enough where we have some above average heights, and we may start to warm up a bit. Take a look at that here in a moment. But looking at the European, this is for today. You can see the precipitation moving through. It's actually kind of sunny here at my house. Well, last time I went out about half an hour ago, but those clouds will be coming in. And again, more rain for Bellingham, places north of Everett, Southwest BC versus Seattle or Portland. Just some very light precipitation as you get down in towards Oregon. And then as we go on in through Sunday, we really start to dry out across much of the region, unless you're across some of western Montana there. But as we go on in through Monday night into Tuesday morning, you can see we are going to be dry. There's Wednesday morning there as well. We go on into Thursday. Weak system moving into British Columbia here, but nothing for Seattle or Portland or for Spokane for that matter, eastern Oregon, as we're going to dry out here as we go through this upcoming week. And if we look at composite reflectivity, that is the frontal system moving through. You can see it's going to be fairly brief, but there are going to be some residual showers across some of the central and southern Puget Sound. As we go through this afternoon and evening, there's probably going to be a couple areas that end up with a tenth of an inch or two as some of these residual showers kind of training over one another as we go on in through the nighttime tonight. But then we scroll on in through the day Sunday, and if we go through Sunday afternoon, there are those stronger storms out there across southwest Montana, portions of Idaho, Rocky Mountains, portions of Yellowstone and Wyoming, as well as those track off to the north and east. Those will be some prolific lightning producers, and again, there is that slight risk for some, or a marginal risk for some severe hail or wind out of those storms. And if we take a closer look here on the high resolution rapid refresh, again, you can kind of see what it thinks of this frontal system. Not much of a punch to it, but as we go through this afternoon, some of these showers might be hanging around the Seattle area towards the Kitsap Peninsula and dropping down towards Tacoma, for example, back in towards the foothills there as well before they wrap up. Now, 24-hour precipitation totals, this is as of tonight. You can see Seattle only 0.04 of an inch, but look at Bellingham, 0.2 and more as you get up towards British Columbia. Look at Quileute, up over 1/3 of an inch as well, but we scroll off in towards the early portion of this week, and you can see that precipitation, the 24-hour running total, not yielding much as we go on in towards Thursday night as we're drying out this week. And if we look at that European ensemble, I believe this is, yes, this is yesterday afternoon's, right? And this goes out 15 days, the average of all 15 members. And you can really see the below average signal is in place here. And we're already plenty dry at this time of year, usually, as we start to head off in towards June. Relatively speaking, we are relatively dry at this time of year. So when you see this below normal signal, kind of, it's a little bit unsettling here. It's a pretty dry signal as we go on into the first half of June. Now, looking at temperatures here briefly, let's take a look at Seattle for today. Portland, mid-70s. Willamette Valley, warmer down there. Less cloud cover, less precipitation. Some mid and lower 60s across southwest BC. Some 90s still present east of the mountains. Look at Boise, Idaho, though. You're punching way up into the mid and upper 90s. Columbia Basin into the low to mid 90s as well. And then we go through Sunday as this system swings through. Look at the cool down that it brings. I mean, you might cool off by 20 degrees across some of Treasure Valley out there. Columbia Basin cooling off nicely also. Then we go through Monday, Tuesday, slow, steady warm up, it looks like, as we go through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Look at next weekend. Seattle back into the 80s, southwest BC, Willamette Valley, east of the mountains. There's some mid 90s showing up. Boise, Spokane, mid 80s there also. Yeah, so we have that warming trend kind of showing up there in the extended forecast. More on that here in a bit. But if we take a look at the artificial intelligence, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, you can see our system out over the coastline there swings through, and then the ridge gets established out over the Pacific Ocean off to the north and east of the Hawaiian Islands, troughing here across some of the Intermountain West. And we keep that ridge there through the end of the week, and then we kind of bring it in a little bit towards the weekend here. But there's still this cat and mouse game. The Gulf of Alaska trough tries to get redeveloped a bit here with some above normal heights across Pacific Northwest. What kind of heat will we get? Well, it probably won't last too long. And there is some hope through the extended forecast with some troughing here, although this is not going to be a very wet signal. I got to warn you that in advance here. It is some troughing here, but this would likely not be bringing big time amounts of precipitation with it. We could get some thunderstorm activity depending on just how it sets up and whatnot. In some areas could get some isolated heavier amounts. But again, the pattern overall as we go through the first portion of June is relatively dry. And you can see this in yesterday afternoon's European model run as we go towards next week and on into the early portion of the following week. Still kind of far off in the forecast, but it does show that ridging and some warming up potentially, and then maybe the troughing as we go through 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. And then Spokane, something similar here as well. Now, taking a look at 850 millibars, you can see as we bring that system through, we cool things down, but then you see the temperatures aloft start to get ramped up here as we go towards the end of the week. So that's what we're watching. We'll see how much of this ridge wants to encompass the Pacific Northwest versus the Gulf of Alaska troughing. Is this going to weaken and back up and allow this ridge to even amplify a bit more? All good questions, all things we'll be checking out over the next few days. Now, total precipitation in inches. I'm just going to scroll out through the 15-day time period here. As you can see, eastern Washington, Oregon, through this 15-day time period, are forecast to get absolutely nothing. And most of this is just with today's system and residual showers for Seattle in the next 15 days. As you can see, BC getting some decent precipitation amounts, but much less across Washington, Oregon, the entire state over the next 15 days. Not looking too hot there as well. So yeah, that's why that below normal signal does exist. And if we look all the way towards July 15th, this goes way off into the extended forecast, goes out 46 days. And the signal as we head through the early portion of summer, or at least the first month and a half of it, is for a very dry summer coming up here. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have a bad fire season, but it's not a good indicator. Does not help. And we have been well below normal here across Pacific Northwest since April 1st. So not a good signal there. So hopefully everybody is taking precautions and we're not going to start some human-caused fires here across the region. Here since January 1st, a little bit different picture, but still overall below normal signal. And the drought monitor just starting to latch on to some of that. Probably going to get worse here over the next couple of weeks, next month or so, as they start to we start to dry out here as we go through the first half of June. They're no doubt going to take notice. And here's the 6 to 10 day, the above normal signal here for some of the West Coast. And there's the 6 to 10 day. You can see the Climate Prediction Center also picking up on that below normal signal. So anyway, I'll be out chasing here over the next few days. I think I'm home one more day tomorrow, and I'll get my show on the road and try to make sure everything is up and running so I can brief from the road daily and during the morning hours. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Otherwise, click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.